Hey everyone, Jake at Resurrection here. I just wanted to do a real quick video and just discuss and sort of showcase one part of the work that we do here. I had sent a quick video to a customer today, actually the owner of this car, and it kind of got me thinking and just brainstorming about explaining to people what the way I do things around here. So I thought, hey, you know what? This is a good opportunity just to make a video now and get the thoughts down. I'm gonna actually put the video that I sent to him at the end of this video so that you can kind of see what it was that I showed him. But basically, what I want to kind of go over here is basically the aspect of, shaping and dialing in the bodies of these cars before they're painted. I have never considered this shop myself a body shop or a paint shop or a mechanical shop. I never really wanted to put any kind of a title like that to what we do. I really like to think and put forth the thought that what we're doing here is more of an art, and that we don't take on projects that would be simply considered, just doing body work or paint work. Or there's a lot more that goes into doing this kind of work than I think what most people think. And yes, you could take this car, you could run a power sander over this, boom, scratch it up so that paint sticks to it, paint it, send it out the door, and it'd be shiny and everyone would be happy. But that's just so far removed from the way I do things here and the way I think. I really like to think that what we're doing is we're sculpting, and we're taking something that's already been designed, like the 67 GTO, and we're just, we're refining this from the way the factory had it. We're not going crazy, we're not changing things, but we are just dialing it in a little bit further. Whereas, at the General Motors factory, if they have 40,000 GTOs lined up after this, they're not spending time on these cars to make them perfect. That was never, ever their intention when they made these cars. Granted, maybe some of the smaller car companies, the hand-built cars, they probably took a little bit more time to do that kind of stuff. But, even today, just the technology we have now is, kind of superior to what they had. So we're able to take something that's already been built and just make it a little bit better. And by that, what I mean is this quarter panel here, I usually take a panel at a time. So I'm just focusing, on this section of the quarter panel. And, these have a natural sort of bow to them right here. And a lot of times body shops block sand the top of this quarter panel and they remove that. And I'm going to show you that at the end of this video. I try to really make sure to maintain the, natural shape and natural lines of the car. The sharp body line here on the quarter, I'm not going to exaggerate this, but I am going to tighten it up just a hair. Just try to make the car look a little bit more, let's say, high definition from how it came out of the factory. So I'll block sand up to this line, up to the line, and you can actually see where I have not sanded that black line traveling all the way down. So I, sand this whole thing, kind of just, tighten it up a little bit, and then I'll go back and just lightly round off the edge here so it's not exaggerated. The one thing I can't stand is a car that looks almost fake. You want it to be really nice. You want to have nice panel fitment, but you don't want it to look too goofy. So there's a very, very fine line there. And that's like I was saying, this divot here, this natural curvature, you could remove that and maybe it would look better to some people, but I really want to see that natural panel, shape. So it's all about, like I said, refining, but not going so crazy that it looks ridiculous. So that's kind of what's going on here, blocking this whole thing. And like I said, we're sculpting. We're taking this body and we're sanding. We're not changing the shape, but we are refining it. Here's another example out here. This is a 67 Buick Grand Sport convertible, obviously. This is actually a stick shift car. So they only made 422 of these. So kind of a interesting car. This is a 67 HO GTO. So they're both 67 GM products, both fairly, rare vehicles. And so here's an example of this car is, I say it's in metal. Obviously, there's a very, very thin coat of epoxy primer on the metal to protect it, but it's basically, metal. There's no filler. There's nothing on this car right now. And the really important thing and what we really strive to do is, if you're going to get your gaps nice and the panels to fit nice, we have to cut, re-weld, build the gaps sometimes. As you can see, this door to fender gap we had to make, whereas this one was really good. So when we do panel fitting and gaps, it is all done in metal. I see YouTube videos and other professionals who tend to do that work with body filler. And is that quicker, cheaper? Yeah, absolutely. But it's not the greatest way to do it. Let's just leave it at that. So we do everything in metal, okay? So no filler on this car. We will have panels closing, functioning as they should, fitting as they should, before there's a drop of primer or body filler put on this car. So that takes some time to do that. And not a lot of people are willing to pay for that, and that's fine. There are other shops who are willing to do that for you. But, like this trunk lid, Dan spent a lot of time, getting this thing to shut nice, function nice. We still have some work to do on some of the gaps, but kind of what I was saying, the weather strip's in here, so everything's in, bump stops, so we make sure it shuts, functions as it should, and we have nice, fitting panels and nice gaps. So that's all done, all put together like this before any filler or primer work is done. A lot of times, yeah, you have to use body filler on a car. Sometimes there's no way out of that. I try to use some of the high build epoxy primers like this one to do all of our building work versus using a lot of filler. But yeah, you do have to use filler, and where that's necessary and appropriate to use, you use that. But again, just trying to show the level of how we do things here, just so people know. I think that's important for people to know if they're looking for a shop or something, what type of work do they do? And that's how we like to look at things here. The metal work, any of this block sanding work is all done in a fashion, in a mindset that we're sculpting something. We're taking our time and we're really going to try and make this look really nice. You can see here some of the different blocks that I picked out to use on this quarter section here. And there's a bunch of tools that we use for that. Here's just some of them. These are all different blocks, different thickness, different flexibility, just tons of different tools. It's kind of a mess in here now because I'm working in here, but you get the point. So it's just picking the appropriate tools to get the job done properly. And kind of as, I guess, just as a aside to this whole thing, and I'm going to do a video on this one day when I have some extra time. But part of the reason I guess I think this way and something that sort of, I guess, inspires me to work this way is, my great-grandfather and my great-great-grandfather were actually stone workers, stone cutters in Bari, Italy. And, I like to think that somewhere deep in my DNA, I have that sort of mindset, and that is why I sort of think the way I do and work the way I do on these cars. And the gentleman, no relation to him, but the gentleman who actually owned this property back in the 1800s, oddly enough, was also from Italy. He was from Massa, Italy, and he was also a stone worker. He did amazing sculptures and monuments. You can see his work in New York and actually right here in Pepperell in the cemetery. He has some really awesome sculptures there. So again, just sort of like a weird throwback inspiration to think like that and, try to be more of an artist with what we're doing here, versus just doing work just to do work. That's not at all what we do here. So yeah, just kind of a, I don't know, random thought to give. I'll just spray that on there so you can kind of see it. See that little bit of curve right there? It's minute, but that's why it's important to keep that, because that is supposed to be there. So anyways, that's my random thoughts for the day. Like I said, I figured I'd just do a quick video and spit it all out, but I will throw the video on right now that I sent to my customer on the car. And yeah, if you guys got any questions or any suggestions for future random videos like this, let me know. But this was my thought for the day. All right, thanks guys. Bye. I just wanted to kind of give you a little sneak peek here, just so you have an understanding of kind of how I do things. This is something that people never really know about, so I figured, hey, this would be maybe interesting for you. So on the GTOs, 66, 67, the top of the rear quarter here, right in here, naturally has a little bit of like a belly to it, a little bit of a curve. A lot of times what I see on cars, especially like show cars, is the guys will just block sand this whole thing flat. And I mean, I see what they're doing. They're trying to make everything totally flat, but they end up removing that natural curvature to the quarter. And I don't like that. And I have had people point that out before. And so the way I do it, I'm going to show you on this side. So I've blocked the top of this quarter, and I've come down here and I've just barely kissed this edge. And you can see how this center section has not been touched by the sanding block. That's still unsanded primer. All right, so you can see that line, and that's that sort of little gully in the quarter. So what I do is I get this flat, and like I said, I come down and just kiss this edge. And then what I end up doing is I take a round block like this, and I usually will use this block to get this real tight curvature to the roof. But what I'm going to do is kind of come down here, and I'm going to sand this little gully here, and it'll be sanded flat, but I'm not going to be removing that curvature. So you'll see when this car is all done, all painted, when you walk around the back, you're going to see the light kind of jump off that curve, and that's what I like to see. We're keeping that natural line in the car. And like I said, you look at a lot of cars and that's missing. So kind of just like a small little piece to this whole thing, but I just wanted to kind of show you that so you can kind of see some of the detail I put into things. So I'm just wrapping up some of the sanding on this today. Yeah, we're making some good progress on it. So I'll keep you posted, but like I said, just wanted to kind of show you that little bit, and that's it. All right, thanks.